Hello, my name is Lauren Thompson. This is Margaret, who will be my handler tonight, and Andy, who will be the noble steed demonstrating these bandages. Tonight I am going to start with a foot bandage. Now, a foot bandage can be used for any number of reasons. Most commonly with our saddlebreds, it would be a lost shoe. It's also possible to bandage for an abscess, possibly a hot nail if the horse is still sore after having the nail removed, or a sole bruise, any kind of foot injury that has an open wound, we would use a foot bandage. If I need to soak my horse's foot as part of their treatment, that's why I'm putting on the bandage. I want to soak in a mixture of water, Epsom salts, and a little bit of betadine, for however long the vet has prescribed. If I'm going to apply any kind of medication to the foot underneath the foot bandage, I want to use a Telfa pad, as I have here. It's a non-stick gauze pad, and I'm going to use Ichthymol for the wound, or just usually an abscess, why we would do this. I'm going to use the Telfa pad to get the Ichthymol and place it where I think the abscess is, and then do the foot bandage over that. Of course, if the foot bandage comes off, you need to put it back on and make sure there aren't any remnants of the bandage in the stall. Anytime you have to take the bandage off, you will need to apply a completely new one the next time. All right, go. Now I'm going to show you how to do a foot bandage. First, of course, we want to have all of our materials present. This includes a diaper to go on the horse's foot for cushion, vet wrap, which we put over the diaper, and then duct tape, which we put over the vet wrap to make sure that the horse doesn't walk through the vet wrap. Now, I've come prepared with a duct tape quilt or pad. So all this is duct tape layered over itself. So I have a layer of duct tape going one way and a layer of duct tape perpendicular on top of it. And this just makes it a little bit easier to put the duct tape on the foot after I've done everything else, so that I don't have to tear strips as I go. However, it is a perfectly valid method to tear strips as you go, just a little bit harder. First, I'm going to apply the diaper. So I want to have my diaper ready ahead of time. All stretched out. You're going to want the cushiest part of the diaper over the sole. So I'm going to get my vet wrap wedged in there. I'm going to ask my horse to pick up his foot. Now, ideally, you want to have it cleaned out. Because I'm only going to have this on for a minute, I'm not worried about it, but if you have a wound or any other type of problem with your foot, you really want to have their foot cleaned out before you bandage it up. So, I'm going to put my diaper over his foot. I'm going to get my tabs, if I can get them. There we go. And this really helps stabilize the diaper. And I'm going to get my vet wrap. And start wrapping. And so the goal is to cover the entire diaper. You want to make sure that you don't go over their coronary band, because you don't want to rub the hair that's there. Now, if you can get this done with less vet wrap than an entire roll, that's great. But most commonly, we'll use an entire roll of vet wrap. Gives it extra cushion and security. Make sure everything's padded down. If it comes up a little bit on the coronary band, that's okay, because it's soft and it's not going to constrict. Alright, now that my vet wrap is on, and I've double checked everything, Socks is ready to put his foot down. I'm going to place this over. Now this is a little big for his foot, and it's fine. I'm just going to make sure that it covers what I need to, and doesn't cover, of course, what I don't need it to. Kind of look around, make sure everything's covered. You want it to go over the vet wrap, but again, you don't want it to go onto their hairline, both for irritation purposes and for constriction. And then what I'm going to do here is start putting on these little strips that I have made or pulled to kind of solidify the rest of my wrap. I've got one here. See if I can still crinkle up a little bit, but still usable. I'm gonna ask him to pick his foot up again so I can get this side. Like I said, you just really want to make sure that everything's gonna be stuck on there. And then you have a foot bandage. You want to make sure that the bandage is stuck on there enough that it's gonna last you a little bit. Of course, if it comes off, all you have to do is redo the bandage. Make sure there's nothing left in the stall or wherever they got the bandage off. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to put on a polo wrap. A polo wrap is made of fleece and has a little bit of stretch to it, but not a ton. We use polo wraps as exercise bandages to protect the leg in case the horse happens to knock himself in the leg. However, it is incorrect information to say that this supports the leg. This bandage does not do any kind of support, and although people claim that it does, that is incorrect. So we want to make sure that our wrap is rolled correctly. It is personal preference, but the most common way that people roll is Velcro to Velcro, as I like to say, where you roll inwards so that as you're unrolling on the leg, the Velcro opens up so you can easily fasten it. I like to start at the top of the leg because the way that I wrap, it most evenly distributes pressure, and then I end at the top. You always want to wrap front to back and outside to inside so that there's no such thing as pulling tendons, although this has not been scientifically proven. Start at the top. I want to make sure that I'm holding my polo in place. I don't want to pull too tightly or too loosely. And I want to try to create evenly spaced wraps and avoid wrinkles. When I get down to the fetlock, I want to make sure that I leave a V, an inverted V, in front, so that it doesn't impede the movement of the joint. I'm going to cup the ergot in the back, come up to make my V formation. It doesn't have to be sharp as long as there is one. And then as I come up, I'm going to straighten my bandage to make sure that I have the back adequately covered. Now some bandages get stretched out over time, or if they're new, may not be quite the consistency that you want. Of course, then you just want a new bandage. Now I've reached the top. Make sure my Velcro goes straight across, and I want to try to make sure that there aren't gaps. And there you have a polo wrap. The next bandage I'm going to show you is a traditional standing bandage or stable bandage. We use a stable bandage to wrap over injury bandages to keep them protected from contaminants. We also use standing bandages to help with any kind of inflammation or swelling, protecting internal and external wounds. Now, before you start, you're going to need to get all of your materials ready. You're going to need a pillow or a quilt, which has a certain thickness to the padding, medium thickness or thicker. You can also use no-bows, which, okay, it's all right. Our next bandage is going to be a standing bandage or a stable bandage. Now, we use a standing bandage for a couple of different reasons. One is to protect the injury bandage that we may have applied earlier. Of course, that bandage that we put on isn't stable enough to withstand any kind of stall activity, so we put a stable bandage on over top. It also helps for any kind of swelling or inflammation or just general warmth, and we apply them sometimes if our horses have been worked really hard or if there's some kind of swelling that has occurred. Now, before you start, you're going to need to get all of your materials ready. What we have first is our padding, which is called a quilt or a pillow. Sometimes you'll hear it called sheet cotton. Of course, that's not quite the same thing. That would be used separately from something like a pillow and is nice but more expensive, good for molding, but a little harder to work with as it can tear. And of course can't be used more than once. We do have something called no-bows, which I do not have pictured here. We don't like to use no-bows here at William Woods because if they are applied incorrectly, it's very easy to bow a tendon in the horse. However, some people use them at different barns and they are commonly seen under Saratoga wraps during exercise. For our purposes, however, no-bows tend to be on the thinner side, and because they don't provide as much padding, it is easier to cord or give a bow tendon to the horse. Now, when you're wrapping up your pillows, you're going to make sure that you wrap the sign tab on the inside to make sure that when you're putting it on the horse, it does not rub against their skin. You're also going to want to have your actual bandage that will keep the pillow on the horse. This is called a track wrap. It is not the only option. Some people do use polos, although generally we don't like to use them because they're not as stretchy and it's easier to cord your horse. Track bandages are made of synthetic material and are commonly used on standing bandages. Of course, we have this rolled up so the Velcro is on the inside, so when I finish rolling it, it will nicely align and I can Velcro shut. Masking tape is used as an extra step. For a fastener, you can also use a bandage pin. We have Velcro as the first step, but because we want to make extra sure that it's harder for our horse to get the bandage undone in his stall, we put on masking tape at the end as a fastener. Finally, we have Elasticon, which I'm not going to show for the standing wrap, but I will for the stack wrap. It is used at the top and the bottom of the wrap to help keep out debris, any kind of contamination. It is much stickier than vet wrap, but it doesn't have the same elasticity and therefore is much less likely to cord. Now I'm going to apply my standing bandage. I want to make sure that everything is rolled up ahead of time so that when I'm ready to apply, I have everything needed. I'm going to start just below the knee so that I'm not impeding any of his movement. I want to make sure that my pillow is snug, not too tight. Snug enough so that it's not going to move around unless I want it to. And I want to try to get all the wrinkles out so that there isn't any kind of uneven pressure. Once my pillow is applied how I like it, I'm going to get my track bandage. I'm going to start up here at the top because that's generally how I end up successfully applying my bandage. I want there to be about ½ inch to an inch of pillow about at the top. I'm going to apply my track wrap snugly, but not too tight. And I want to make sure that I'm not getting any wrinkles in my bandage on the way down. If I see anything, I stop and I straighten it out. That's why it's important to not hurry, because if you do a bandage wrong, you can permanently damage your horse. You want to make sure that all of your wraps are even so that there's no uneven pressure. Just like at the top, I want to leave about ½ inch to an inch of pillow at the bottom and work my way back up. Just like on the way down, I want to have even strips, and I want to try to end my bandage at the top of the leg. Again, I'm checking for any wrinkles, and when I get to the top, I want to make sure that my Velcro matches perfectly to itself. Once I am satisfied with my bandage, does not feel too tight to me. Pressure feels pretty even. It's not too loose, I can't shove it down. Then I'm going to apply my second fastener, which in this case is masking tape. I want to start at the top and make sure I'm rolling the same direction as my bandage, which you will have noted is front to back and outside to inside. Although there's no scientific evidence that this is the right way to do it, most people will argue that it is, and it's much easier to get comfortable with wrapping this way. I want to make sure that my masking tape goes around my Velcro. That's the whole reason it's on here. And I'm going to make sure that I'm spiraling so that there's no closed circuits. And then, just for extra security, I'm going to make sure that I can see 4 strips. And then, my bandage is done.